Sorry about that. I guess my other headset wouldn't connect my better headset, so I had to connect my crappy headset, this one. I'll get that one set up next time, but I wanted to make this quick video tonight. This is just a quick little video, and I was going over this both when I was playing all the games as well as through the perks and stuff and my in-game experience with Fallout 4 and the other two. There was around 1 and 2 videos by Mitten Squad of Soul Survivor versus Lone Wanderer versus Courier from Fallout 3, 4, and New Vegas. And we're gonna fast travel to these locations, unless they're not close enough. Let's do this one first. And there are things that I want to start out with. If the characters start out in the game, yes, the Courier has more experience with the Wasteland, but it depends when they step out, because I think the Courier is the only one that doesn't have much for weaponry when he just steps out of that building there. What the... I have never seen that happen before. That's so weird. I don't know what to do about that. If they just step out of the vault, the Courier's probably a little screwed, but if they go a ways into the beginning of the game, the Soul Survivor still gets frickin' power armor and miniguns early and beats a Deathclaw. So, yeah, I don't know about that. It really depends, once again, on them, as well as I think the Soul Survivor is more trained than the Lone Wanderer to combat, so the Courier would barely have weapons, and the Lone Wanderer would just be bad with weapons compared to the Soul Survivor. Wouldn't be as trained. So endgame is where it's all at, and there are some really obvious things that make me wonder how the Courier beat the Soul Survivor. First off, let's start with level cap. The level cap of Lone Wanderer is 30, and I know they bring this up in the video. Level cap, even endgame, like if you make it to level 50, even 80, where I am with the Soul Survivor, he's freaking powerful. What was that? Oh, frick, I thought I heard a Deathclaw. Okay, at least he's stuck. But yeah, with the Soul Survivor, so the Courier goes, level cap is 50. The Soul Survivor goes up to 247. And he is practically a god by then. Even at level 80, where I am on Xbox, he is really hard to kill. I can just walk up to legendary enemies and such and take so many goddamn hits. It's crazy. I can take hits from mini nukes without it barely damaging me, from cars exploding next to me, to just about anything. It's freaking ridiculous. Oh, I gotta listen to or read the tape or whatever. So yeah, endgame freaking Soul Survivor is freaking ridiculous. So the next things I wanted to go over, so I'll go over companions, weapons, armor, and army that they would have, or armies, as well as any perks and stuff. First off, I want to go over 2 perks in particular. So the Courier from Old World Blues, we're going to include DLC stuff, and yes, Automatron as well. as canon as it is Bethesda published. It's not Creation Club stuff. The Courier has the like ability or perks or implants or whatever it is that allow it so his bones cannot break, which doesn't mean he can't die. He can still be riddled with holes in just about anywhere and bleed out to death. Same with any of the other characters. He can definitely die. And playing him, he's definitely vulnerable, even with those implants. But he has the bone structure thing. They didn't bring up the I don't think they brought up the Soul Survivor's adamantium skeleton. When you level this up fully, and you'll especially have it by endgame, or especially if you're focused on the endurance part, this will also make it so your bones cannot break. So now what? You're at a standstill with that. So then there was another perk that called into question and made me think maybe I should call this whole thing off. Or weapon, I should say, that the Courier can get. It's more of an attachment to a weapon in Old World Blues, where it gives the gun a chance to blow up an enemy and practically insta-kill. You can insta-kill most bosses in the game even, and they have a lot of health. Most enemies you could, but it's random. It does happen, but it's random. Then there's this perk, which fully upgraded is kind of a similar deal. And second, this is a perk. This is part of the character. This has nothing to do with a weapon. And what can you do in Fallout games? You can VAT system shoot a weapon out of someone's hand. So say the Soul Survivor disarms the Courier. Now he doesn't have that weapon, and the not only going to get that weapon back, he leaves himself open to being killed. Another thing I want to bring up is the guy talking about the reason the Courier kind of edges in the win is because he knows his way around the wasteland. He's got that knowledge. Sure, definitely, like, he has that knowledge. Here's the problem. If you're able to make it up to level 50 or 80 or 247 Fallout, who says the Soul Survivor, being a war veteran, not only has that knowledge now by that point and many hours of training for it in the game, but also a lot of the type of traps and situations are no different from that of what he's probably faced in the war. And being this interpretation of the war where there were probably robots used in combat too, and he's the Soul Survivor, he probably knows his way around some landmines and traps and such, so it doesn't feel different enough. It's more so the layout of the environment and such, as well as the type, maybe some of the types of enemies like ghouls and super mutants and stuff, and deathclaws. That's more of where those differences lie, and even by then, once again, the previous knowledge of everything he's built up to the point where he's high enough level, he would know enough about how to survive in the wasteland, so I don't think that argument has staying power as much as Mitten might think. And I know it's an older video, but I still wanted to tackle it. I thought it would be fun, and I had some problems with it looking back on it. And playing these 3 games back and back, I've been like, no, the Soul Survivor would win, and I'm about to go into even more overkill of why he would win. If freaking him being level 247 and practically invincible, and these perks, as well as the one weapon I thought was going to destroy the Soul Survivor, and he has ridiculous health anyways, so I think any amount of health, especially at 247, just completely annihilates any damage, especially since he can be blown up a bunch, that puny little guns perk can do, or attachment can do, or whatever. So then there is, and you also have perks like toughness and life giver and such. Um, let's get to the. I'll get to the weapon. The weapons are pretty ridiculous. You got like a freaking Fat Man that shoots multiple Fat Man missiles. He could probably just, if he's at level 247 something, which is 200 twice the times or so, of the, probably 4 times actually, the level of the Courier, and even more so the Lone Wanderer. Um, he's pretty ridiculous. He could probably just shoot that freaking nuclear device right at his feet next to the freaking Courier, and the Courier would end up dead, and him still, like, only a little inch of his health harmed. There's a lot of ridiculous weapons. There's explosive guns. A lot of the explosive guns I have just at level whatever in Fallout 4 on my Xbox can annihilate most enemies really quickly. So there's so many weapons to go over. And then when it comes to armor, the Assault Marine armor is the strongest, especially the legendary one that you can get from the shop owner in Far Harbor. And that has ridiculous stats, higher than any armor set in both Lone Wanderer and the Couriers in New Vegas. And you add on top of that the power armor. That's freaking ridiculous. It's like twice the armor. And yeah, he beats him out weapons and armor wise for the most part. That's not to say those games don't have ridiculous weapons, but goddamn, you've seen some of the stuff the Soul Survivor has and uses. It is freaking stupidly powerful, and there is just much more variety for that game too, especially since it's a game that you can go up to 247. He has so many different enemy types as well that beat out the majority of the enemy types in those games, because you can go to higher levels and always see different versions and such of enemies. And there's even like bigger variants and such of some of those enemies, legendaries and so on and so forth, that drop special weapons or legendary armor and stuff. Since Ada can be a companion and is part of Automatron, which is a Bethesda DLC, which doesn't harm anything of the canon, you only need Ada. So there's a couple of things to take into consideration. First off, the Soul Survivor can hack robots to be on his side or to make them explode themselves. So he could technically blow up Ed E and maybe Rex. I guess Rex is more of a cyborg, but if he was able to hack Rex and like turn off his robotic parts, he could potentially kill him. And then there's the fact that he can revive with, and you have a lot of repair robot kits by the end game stuff. So many. I have so many stem packs alone. And he can constantly revive his companion over and over again, where the companions are either permanently dead or down until they defeat their enemy in combat. And that's probably not going to happen with a companion that can get up over and over again. Also, you can increase Ada's armor stats and or health stats, and she will be almost impossible to take down. She is a death machine. I recommend giving her the strongest legs. Don't give her the freaking whatever those robots with the 3 giant ass legs on wheels. I can't remember what they're called. Just give her something close to Assaultron legs. Give her a buzzsaw arm weapon. She's really good close-up combat. She annihilates enemies so quickly with her melee. And then give her the working and not ridiculous unstable Gatling gun. Give her the regular Gatling gun, and she will destroy anything. And then Assaultron Laserhead, which also does ridiculous damage. So not only does she have the best defense stats and can last a while as one of the best companions, but she's overpowered with her weapons, defense, and mobility. She is a death machine to be reckoned with, and she can be revived multiple times over and over again. Her armor plating and such, I have seen come back like she's a robot version of Wolverine. She can, even when she's down and her legs are broken and she's crawling on the ground, she is not something to be reckoned with. So, companion-wise, and since she's I guess a quest essential, she can't die, she's a little ridiculous, and she wins as well for the Soul Survivor. So weapons, armor, level, and experience, especially by the end game of Fallout 4 or level 247, depending, and companion all beat out the Courier, as well as any other strategies like shooting the one gun that could have potentially taken out the Soul Survivor. But the fact that it's a gun and not a perk means you can still shoot it out of his hand. And there are some really good VAT perks for the Soul Survivor as well. So if you put those as well as some of the weapon perks or melee weapon perks and such, you got a really unstoppable Soul Survivor main character of the Fallout games. So, now armies. So besides all the characters basically having, they can all have the Mysterious Stranger pop up for them. Which means now there's 3 Mysterious Strangers. Army-wise, I think the Soul Survivor wins as well, because when it comes to New Vegas, since it's trying to have decision-making and stuff, which isn't a bad thing, and that's why a lot of people love it, of course. But you can, as well as a disguise system, you can only have like the NCR or something. So I'm only going to take the NCR as I think it is the strongest force. Doing Caesar's Legion would probably be too weak. That's right, I was going to listen to the Gunner thing. So that would be too weak. I'm doing some Creation Club stuff here, just because I wanted to. Okay, where is... oh, we gotta go back to the Gunner guy, I guess. But when it comes to this, also you can probably have like a gang or two, like that Elvis cultish gang or whatever in New Vegas, and maybe like the Boomers, and a small portion of the Brotherhood of Steel and or Enclave, because it is not a big force in New Vegas compared to what Fallout 4 has going for it. Let's see. I accidentally took something of his. What? Okay, what did I accidentally take? Was it this grenade? I don't remember. Guess we don't need those. I'll look through my stuff later. But yeah, he has definitely a couple of like armies to fight with him, and probably you could count the Yes Man, though I'm sure he'd piss off the NCR. But yeah, he has decent armies. The Soul Survivor, however, you can technically have both the Minuteman and the Raiders. Just make sure you don't piss off Preston too much with the settlement taking over. You still have like at least 2 gangs worth of armies fighting for you back at Nuka World. Then you have a much bigger force and stronger force using the Brotherhood of Steel, or you could use the Institute. They'd probably play along better with the fuck you. Take that dumbass. God, radiation poisoning. Hold on, can't I? Oh, frickin' his suit. Or in use spacesuit, yeah. There we go. I mean, I'm still getting radiation poisoned, but yeah. It's not as bad as it was before. Oh, is it down in this church? Oh god. We're gonna... literally. There's... Alright. So Brotherhood of Steel also can claim tons of settlements and basically not only put up enough defenses and turrets and stuff, but he can basically build an entire robot army thanks to everything he's gotten from the Mechanist. Let's see. Okay. Jeez. Stop. Frick off. They're in here, aren't they? Where'd the other one go? There was another one. Anyways, does this go further in? Goes over here now. I am sweating. Also, you can have a Deathclaw army or whatever at each of your bases too. Or Mirelurk or whatever you decide. Super mutants, whatever. Whatever you tame and use those machines from the also Bethesda official content. And so Raider Army probably maybe Minutemen, but if not, you still have Raider Army and Brotherhood of Steel. Pretty ridiculous nonetheless. Oh! Frick you. Jeez. You missed. You idiot. I hate flies in real life. So these things are pissed me off. Alright. Where to now? Send the gunner signal. Is that the radio? Oh. But yeah, freaking army-wise, he's also packing heat. There could be other things to go over. I feel like that stuff alone is enough to prove why the Sole Survivor could kick the ass of those characters. He could probably kick the ass of the frickin', even Fallout 1 and 2's main characters, and I love Fallout. Oh. Ooh, that is a big frickin' blood bug. Okay. Is there a bunch of, well, there's a bunch of dust here. And they're all gunners. Where is this thing? Man, I am sweating. But yeah, that's all I have to add for the... Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this nonetheless. Soul Survivor's frickin' OP, man. Don't mess with him. I still love the Mitten video. I just don't think it's aged well, or even aged back then. Maybe there's some rule sets I didn't think about that he set, but I feel like a lot of what I said still works fine without breaking canon or anything. So, yeah. I have to give it up to the Soul Survivor. Like, and it makes sense, being a new game, they're going to do things to make your character have more, do more, be more, everything. Even though they do downgrade other things in people's minds and opinions of the game. It's still a fun, great game, but it may not live up to what Fallout is known for. Still a great game. I'm still glad it exists, nonetheless. And yeah, that's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be doing more videos on Fallout and Elder Scrolls in the future, and I still want to get to my read-alongs and so on and so forth. See you next time. Goodbye.